Welcome to today's deep dive. We're talking directly to you today.
Yeah, specifically if you're an ambitious aesthetic medicine doctor.
Right, or maybe you are in a luxury clinic and your goal is to build something far beyond just a standard, locally profitable business.
You're aiming to build a premium dominant brand in your market.
Exactly. And to map out how to actually get there, we're analyzing a really fascinating masterclass today.
It's designed by Dr. Ari Masudi.
Right, he's a former researcher in regenerative medicine who took this huge pivot.
Yeah, he turned into a highly sought-after business consultant specifically for the beauty and aesthetic industry.
And what's so great here is that Dr. Masudi brings a completely different lens to this space.
He really does. He applies the analytical, outcome-oriented rigor of a clinical researcher to the actual business architecture of aesthetic medicine.
Which is so needed right now. I mean, we're looking at an industry experiencing just unprecedented booming demand.
Oh, absolutely. But individual clinic owners are constantly frustrated by this one persistent reality.
The local price war.
Exactly. They cannot seem to escape it.
You invest hundreds of thousands of dollars. You go through years of grueling medical training.
You open this beautiful space.
Yeah, and within months, you feel trapped in a race to the bottom. You're basically haggling over the price per unit of neurotoxin.
It's demoralizing. It forces you to ask why a highly specialized medical field gets commoditized so quickly.
And Dr. Masudi identifies the root cause of this, right?
He does. He calls it the additive strategy.
The additive strategy.
Yeah, it's essentially the default playbook in aesthetic medicine.
Meaning everyone just assumes to be competitive, you have to constantly add things.
Right. A competitor down the street buys the newest fractional laser, so you feel compelled to buy an even more expensive laser.
You continuously expand your treatment menu.
Exactly. Suddenly you're offering everything from injectables and thread lifts to body contouring and IV therapy.
You line your hallways with framed diplomas. You flaunt every new masterclass certification on Instagram.
Because the underlying assumption is that sheer volume of options and credentials automatically translates to higher perceived value for the patient.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because on the surface, diversifying your offerings seems like basic business survival.
It feels logical.
Right, you want to capture as much of the market as possible by being a comprehensive one-stop destination.
But Dr. Masudi counters that approach with a concept he calls structural interchangeability, which completely reframes the situation.
Structural interchangeability. That sounds like a massive red flag.
It is. If we connect this to the bigger picture of consumer behavior, we have to look at the market through the eyes of the prospective patient.
The person actually booking the appointment.
Exactly. Imagine a prospective patient sitting at her kitchen table with her laptop open.
Okay.
She has 5 different tabs open, looking at 5 different luxury clinics in your city.
And what does she see?
Every single one of those clinics offers the exact same menu of treatments. They all utilize the exact same industry buzzwords, like rejuvenation and natural result.
And they all feature nearly identical before and after galleries.
Exactly. So from the perspective of that patient, those 5 distinct businesses have collapsed into one structurally interchangeable entity.
Wow. So when that structural interchangeability happens, the patient's decision-making process is stripped of all nuance.
Completely stripped. If a patient cannot distinguish any unique defining value between Clinic A and Clinic B, her choice gets reduced to just 2 variables.
Price and proximity.
That's it. She'll simply choose whoever is running the best promotion or whoever happens to be a 10-minute shorter drive from her house.
Which is exactly why you end up haggling over neurotoxin prices.
Yes, and Dr. Masudi stresses that clinic owners often misdiagnose this as a marketing problem.
They think, oh, I need a sleeker website.
Or a better social media manager, or I need to run better Facebook ads.
But it's not marketing.
No, this is actually a failure of strategic architecture. The foundation of how the clinic is positioned in the market is fundamentally flawed.
That structural failure is exactly what leads to Dr. Masudi's first major principle for escaping the menu.
Stop selling treatments and start owning a problem.
Which requires a radical mental shift.
A huge one. Practitioners have to accept the reality that patients, deep down, do not care about the clinic's catalog of expensive machines.
Which makes sense psychologically, but practically, how does a doctor pivot from showcasing their hard-earned medical credentials to talking about abstract patient problems?
It's tough.
Right, because medical school and clinical training condition you to focus on the technical execution, the anatomy, the device specifications.
It requires looking past the clinical indication to find the human motivation. Dr. Masudi outlines a vital paradigm shift here.
Give us an example.
Let's look at the patient booking a consultation for skin laxity.
Okay.
She is not waking up in the morning thinking about the localized heating of dermal tissue.
Or the benefits of high-intensity focused ultrasound.
Exactly. She's waking up feeling a sudden loss of credibility in her professional environment.
Oh, wow.
She's surrounded by younger colleagues and is looking for a way to feel authoritative again.
That is so much deeper than just skin laxity.
Right. Or take the patient concerned about mid-face volume loss. She's not spending her evenings comparing the radiological properties or G-prime of different filler brands.
Obviously not.
Her actual pain point is that she's tired of looking completely exhausted in every single photograph she takes with her family, regardless of how much she sleeps.
So the true driver of the transaction is deeply emotional, not clinical.
Yes. And by presenting the clinic simply as an extensive catalog of medical services, the owner is completely missing the actual conversation happening inside the patient's head.
The masterclass provides a stark contrast to illustrate this. A standard clinic's positioning statement usually reads something like, well, we've all seen it. We offer a full range of aesthetic treatments using the latest technology to help you look your best.
It reads like a technical manual.
Yeah, it blends in with every other tab the patient has open.
Contrast that generic catalog entry with the alternative Dr. Masudi proposes.
Let's hear it.
Imagine a prospective patient landing on a homepage, and the very first sentence she reads is this: "We help professionally active women over 40 maintain a face that reflects their authority, not their fatigue."
That completely changes the dynamic.
It shifts the focus entirely from the doctor's toolkit to the patient's lived reality.
The clinic is suddenly speaking directly to an aspiration, rather than just listing inventory.
And that is exactly how you dismantle structural interchangeability. Dr. Masudi argues that the clinics positioned to dominate their markets over the next decade won't be the ones with the most comprehensive menus.
They'll be the ones that identify one specific patient problem so deeply that competitors become entirely irrelevant on that specific dimension.
Precisely. Other clinics might physically possess the same syringes and lasers, but they've never made solving that specific emotional reality their central organizing principle.
To apply this, Dr. Masudi offers a very specific directive for clinic owners listening right now. He advises taking the guesswork out of your positioning.
Yeah, the strategy is to systematically interview your last 20 patients.
But not asking for a review of the treatment, right?
Right. The goal of the interview is to uncover the specific inciting incident, the underlying fear or frustration that finally pushed them to pick up the phone and book the consultation.
And once you identify the common thread in those responses,
You rebuild the entire homepage, the marketing materials, and the consultation script entirely around that single dominant problem.
that deep understanding of the patient naturally leads to a deep understanding of where the broader market is failing them. Which brings us to Dr. Masudi's second principle, advantage engineering.
Yes.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because when clinic owners analyze their local competition, the instinct is almost always to look at what the competitors are doing successfully.
Right. They look at the new device a rival just purchased.
Or they try to benchmark their pricing against the clinic down the street to make sure they're in the same ballpark.
But Dr. Masudi flips that entirely. He points out that meticulously mapping where the market consistently fails is perhaps the most underutilized strategic tool in the aesthetic industry.
So instead of auditing their successes or their menus, you need to ruthlessly audit their operational failures.
Exactly. What are the recurring complaints in your specific local market?
Are patients consistently subjected to rushed 10-minute consultations where they feel like just another number?
Is the pricing structure opaque, leading to surprise bills at checkout?
Do local clinics have a reputation for over-promising on laser results and under-delivering?
Or are patients feeling completely abandoned the moment their credit card is swiped?
Those failure points are the raw material for advantage engineering.
They really are. If a clinic owner can pinpoint a deep, recurring frustration that most local competitors share, and then engineer a clinical and operational system that completely resolves that specific frustration,
You create an immediate, glaring contrast in the market.
it allows a clinic to dominate without ever needing to directly disparage a competitor.
Because the experience speaks for itself.
Right. If your clinic engineers a model that guarantees a totally transparent, fixed format pricing structure and schedules consultations that are twice as long as the industry average to ensure the patient feels genuinely heard.
The standard market experience suddenly feels wholly inadequate.
Once a patient experiences that elevated level of care, their expectations recalibrate. They can no longer tolerate the standard, rushed experience they get elsewhere.
But implementing that level of contrast requires an immense amount of discipline.
Which brings us to Dr. Masudi's fourth principle: own one idea completely.
This is huge. It addresses the reality that a brand remembered for 3 or 4 different things is ultimately remembered for nothing.
Which raises an important question about cognitive load, right? And how the human brain actually categorizes brands.
Dr. Masudi identifies a major cognitive error that ambition often creates in clinic owners. They attempt to position themselves as the ultimate local authority in everything.
Skin health and body contouring and advanced injectables and holistic wellness and hair restoration all simultaneously.
It's just too much.
It is. The patient's mind does not file brands based on how comprehensive their services are. The mind files brands based on clarity and mental availability.
Mental availability, meaning how effortlessly a patient recalls your clinic when they experience a specific need.
And achieving that requires extreme simplicity and constant repetition.
If we look at how to execute that simplicity, it means finding a singular hook. For instance, a clinic might decide to entirely own the concept of skin health as a long-term discipline.
Yes, and adopting that singular idea doesn't mean the clinic has to throw away its injectables or laser devices. The technical capabilities remain broad.
But publicly, in every piece of communication, all of those modalities are tethered to that one clear, powerful patient outcome.
You're selling the architecture of long-term discipline, not a la carte laser sessions.
And when patients can effortlessly articulate what your clinic stands for in a single sentence, they transform into your most effective distribution channel.
They can confidently refer their friends because the core message is sharp and easily transmittable.
To enforce this, Dr. Masudi introduces a really rigorous constraint.
Define your clinic's one central idea in 7 words or fewer.
7 words, that's tough.
If it takes a paragraph to explain what makes the clinic special, the market will never remember it.
Let's actually look at what that 7-word constraint does in practice.
Okay.
A sprawling statement like, "We provide comprehensive aesthetic treatments for all your anti-aging needs," is completely forgettable.
It really is.
But a statement like, "Restoring professional confidence through subtle facial balancing."
That fits the constraint perfectly, and it immediately targets a specific demographic with a specific outcome.
Once a clinic owner nails down those 7 words, Dr. Masudi advises a ruthless audit of the business.
You look back at the last 6 months of social media content, email newsletters, and website updates.
And you mercilessly eliminate anything that dilutes that single message.
If a promotional post does not directly reinforce that 7-word idea, it is just noise. It's contributing to structural interchangeability.
That ruthless auditing process is the bridge between outward communication and internal operations.
Because marketing a refined idea is only the first step. Living that idea operationally is what actually sustains it.
This is the core of Dr. Masudi's 5th principle. Integration is the competitive advantage, and fragmentation is the primary vulnerability.
Right. So if a clinic actually manages to distill their entire practice down to 7 words, how do they ensure this new positioning translates into the physical space?
How do we prevent this from just being slick marketing copy that falls apart the moment the patient walks through the door?
By engineering the clinic so there is absolutely zero gap between the external promise and the internal delivery.
Narrative dominance must be an operational reality.
Aesthetic medicine is a profoundly intimate, high-stakes field for the patient.
Yeah, it really is.
If the marketing promises a highly personalized, premium journey built around deep clinical expertise, but the reality is a chaotic waiting room,
A dismissive front desk staff.
and a practitioner who looks at their watch during the consultation, that gap destroys trust instantaneously.
In a high-ticket medical environment, fragmentation between promise and reality is a fatal liability.
If you promise luxury and deliver a factory-line experience, the patient feels actively betrayed.
Every single operational touch point must perfectly align with that premium narrative.
The specific duration of the consultation, the acoustic environment of the waiting area, even the exact phrasing the team uses when answering the phone.
Coherence across every touch point is incredibly rare, which is precisely why it commands such a premium in the market.
However, Dr. Masudi points out that the ultimate test of this operational coherence doesn't actually happen in the clinic.
No, where does it happen?
It happens after the patient leaves.
Yeah.
This leads into Principle 3, which addresses a massive systemic blind spot industry.
The post-treatment experience.
Yes. The masterclass highlights a fascinating imbalance here. The aesthetic industry is culturally obsessed with patient acquisition.
Clinics pour vast amounts of capital into digital ads, search engine optimization, social media management,
Constantly trying to force new leads into the top of the funnel.
yet they almost entirely ignore the post-treatment landscape.
It is a staggering misallocation of resources. Dr. Masudi emphasizes a critical reality about patient psychology. Loyalty is not created at the point of sale.
The moment a patient hands over their credit card, they are not yet a loyal advocate.
They're simply a buyer hoping they made the right choice. Yes, true loyalty is forged in the 90 days after the treatment.
Consider the patient's perspective. The days following a procedure are often filled with physical swelling, anxiety, and vulnerability.
If they received excellent clinical care in the chair, but are then met with total silence or confusion about their recovery protocol,
Or just a generic, automated thank you email.
their enthusiasm plummets. They will likely not return, and they certainly will not refer their network.
Which forces the clinic to keep the expensive acquisition machine running at maximum capacity.
Because they failed to build a retention machine. It's the classic scenario of trying to fill a bucket that has a massive hole in the bottom.
But if a clinic flips that dynamic and provides proactive, structured follow-up, the narrative changes.
Dramatically. If the clinic proactively guides the patient through the anxiety of recovery, making them feel like the practitioner is genuinely invested in their long-term outcome, that patient transcends being a repeat customer.
They become a vocal advocate.
And in an industry so heavily driven by social proof, an army of patient advocates is an untouchable competitive advantage.
To turn this philosophy into an operational system, Dr. Masudi provides a specific blueprint.
He advises designing a strict, non-negotiable post-treatment protocol featuring a minimum of 3 distinct touchpoints within the first 30 days.
What are they?
First, a personalized 48-hour check-in to manage immediate post-procedure anxiety.
That makes sense.
Second, a 2-week results review to assess the initial settling of the treatment. And third, a comprehensive 1-month outcome conversation to discuss long-term maintenance.
This deliberate, structured communication is how a clinic manufactures deep trust and converts a one-off transaction into a longitudinal relationship.
So what does this all mean for the clinic owner listening right now?
Yeah, let's synthesize this into a concrete roadmap for immediate application. How do you actually begin constructing this strategic architecture today?
Dr. Masudi's roadmap details exactly what needs to be implemented and, crucially, what needs to be eliminated.
Okay, let's start with what to change.
First, you must stop leading your marketing with your clinical credentials, your device names, and your specific techniques. You must lead with the specific emotional patient problem you solve.
Second, regarding that 90-day follow-up protocol we just detailed, do not keep it a secret until after the patient is paid.
Right. You must communicate that comprehensive follow-up structure before the patient even books the consultation. Make your meticulous aftercare a highly visible, heavily promoted feature of your premium offer.
It is a massive competitive advantage currently hiding in plain sight.
That reframes the entire purchase for the patient. You're signaling to them that they are buying a 90-day supportive medical journey, not just a 30-minute injection appointment.
The third major change involves the visual evidence clinics use. Dr. Masudi suggests ditching the standard clinical before and after photo galleries that everyone else relies on.
Instead, replace them with patient outcome narratives.
These are case studies that highlight the before and after of the patient's entire emotional and psychological experience with the clinic.
Treating the physical changes on their face as just one part of a larger transformational story.
Equally critical to the roadmap is what must be eliminated. Clinic owners must audit their operations and cut out any service, any piece of marketing communication, or any promotional discount that only exists because a competitor is doing it.
If a service does not directly serve your core 7-word central idea, it must be removed.
Furthermore, Dr. Masudi demands a shift in how clinic health is measured. You have to stop defining success solely through acquisition metrics.
Like tracking how many new leads came from an Instagram ad this week. The obsession must shift to tracking retention rates and referral rates.
If a clinic's referral rate is stagnating, the post-treatment experience is the undeniable culprit.
It's a comprehensive strategy about being deliberately countercultural to the rest of the aesthetic industry.
The core takeaway from this deep dive is that market leadership in the coming decade will not belong to the clinics with the most aggressive advertising budgets.
It will not belong to the clinics that race to purchase every new shiny device that hits the expo floor.
True market leadership will belong to the clinics that have crafted a clear, defensible problem solution narrative.
And who possess the operational discipline to execute that narrative flawlessly at every single touch point, from the homepage to the 90-day follow-up.
You have to build this architecture deliberately, or you will inevitably watch your competitors do it first, leaving you permanently stuck in the price war.
It requires a fundamental elevation in how a clinic owner views their role in the market. To leave you with a final thought to mull over, I want to build on Dr. Masudi's intense focus on post-treatment advocacy.
Okay.
If a patient's absolute loyalty and willingness to refer is truly cemented in the 90 days after a treatment rather than during the procedure itself, what would happen if a clinic made a radical financial decision?
I'm listening.
What if a clinic redirected 100% of its traditional acquisition and advertising budget entirely into designing the most luxurious, high-touch, 90-day post-treatment concierge experience in the world?
Wow.
Could a clinic with a literal $0 marketing budget achieve total narrative dominance purely through the operational superiority of its follow-up?
That is the exact kind of high-level strategic question that separates the standard clinics from the dominant brands. Could your follow-up mechanics be so structurally superior that you never have to purchase an advertisement again?
Something every clinic owner should ask themselves.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive today. We hope this analysis has equipped you to take a hard, critical look at your own clinic's architecture. The blueprint to step out of the price war and into market leadership is right in front of you. Now it's time to build. We'll see you next time.